last couple of weeks, I've come out here. It feels like every night. It hasn't been every night, but I feel like every single night I come out here and I talk about the future of college athletics. I see a lot of my colleagues in sports media talking about governance and what college athletics needs, whether it's antitrust or whether it's this law or that law, whether it's the SCORE Act that needs to be passed, whether it's to abolish the NCAA. So many different people have so many different opinions on so many different topics. And there are a lot of topics that I agree with, a lot of things that I agree that we should do to try to put guardrails in place and things that we have to put in place because, guys, I cover college football. I cover college athletics. We have got to do something. So you as a fan, me as the media member, I get exhausted by constantly having these same level of conversations every single night. I know that you do because I do. I don't like having to come out here on an LSU-centric show or a national college football show every single day during the offseason when I have to talk about all of these different chaotic things that are going on. Now, if you've been watching this show over the last couple of weeks, you and I have had simple discussions, very simple discussions. It's like, hey, man, I know that we don't trust the NCAA for X, Y, and Z rules. I don't back them when they say that they believe that biological men should do things in sports. I don't back them in some of the things that the NCAA wants to argue about or be in front of. Those are philosophical differences. Those are things that I won't agree with. I don't agree how they dealt with LSU in the past, clearly. But today, I think that the world is now getting to see exactly who runs college athletics and why nobody in charge or in power really wants things to change. You know, today, in case you missed it, because this is very fresh, Tony Batiti, the Big Ten commissioner, because he's got to sign off on this, the Big Ten sent a letter to the NCAA saying that they need to stop investigating or trying to go after programs and institutions for tampering. Now, you complain about tampering as the fan. I complain about tampering. Coaches complain about tampering all the time. And yet the Big Ten sends a letter to the NCAA saying, hey, your tampering rules are pre-NIL, and these agents are talking to coaches, and they got to go through proxies to talk to these kids, and that's how all of this is set up anyway. You need to change the rule. No, there's rules in reference to agents talking to coaches about other players and tampering being a part of it. Like, have you not read the rule? You can't what the problem that I have is that we look at specific rules and say, this needs to be changed. There are other things that the NCAA has in there where it even states that third parties that are representations of players around the country, female or male, cannot talk to other institutions, and that other institutions can't talk to those people in reference to, well, them going to their university. Guys, the Big Ten doesn't want them going after tampering. They want them to change the rule to something that's more innovative. And now, Tony Batiti is the Big Ten commissioner. And I think over the last year, he has done three of the dumbest things in college athletics. Number one, he has tried to expand the playoff to 24 teams. I'm a non-expansionist. I don't think that there are 24 teams that can win a national title in college football. I'm not. I don't think that that exists. He wants to do playing games. For what? College football was and has been built on the back of every single week mattering and the intensity of every single Saturday mattering. And the more that you expand, the more that that goes away. Coaches want to expand because they're incentivized. If I was a coach, I would love for the playoff to expand so that I get incentives to make more money. I don't think coaches or athletic directors, for that matter, are the right people to ask when it comes to playoff expansion. And I surely don't think that it's Tony Batiti, who has a former TV background and wants to see these levels of things succeed so that his old friends and partners can make more money. I think that he's done bad there. He also tried to bring in private equity into the Big Ten, even though not every one of the presidents and universities and coaches and ADs agreed with him. Guys, he tried to bring in private equity to universities for college athletics. And now he's coming out with a statement saying, y'all need to stop investigating teams for tampering. What is the Big Ten hiding? Hasn't stopped the NCAA from going after LSU, as an example. College Sports Commission going after LSU. What's the Big Ten hiding? What are you hiding? Guys, I keep seeing these quote-unquote people in power. And I know sometimes that a lot of you come in here and go, here he goes again. Here goes Blake again. He's talking about guardrails and the NCAA and all this kind of broody poo. And then tonight you have the Big Ten commissioner saying, yeah, you don't need to keep going after tampering. I keep seeing those same people saying that we need guardrails and then doing that and talking about over here. But on the other side, they're saying and doing things that take those guardrails away. You can't keep limiting governance. You can't keep taking rules away. You can't keep telling people to stop investigating things that are, quite honestly, rules, and think that guardrails are not going to start falling down. It is, guys, we are being run by, right now in college athletics, people who quite honestly come off to me by doing and saying some of the dumbest things possible. This whole thing with tampering is a joke. The Big Ten saying you need to change this and stop investigating teams who went through tampering is a joke. I expect nothing less from Tony Petitti. I expect nothing less from the Big Ten. The bottom line truth is, guys, you can hate the NCAA with all of your might. You can just really and truthfully come to a place where you do not trust them. I don't either. I would trust a wet fart after having Taco Bell than I would trust the NCAA. That doesn't mean that we don't need governance. God bless it. The bottom line truth in all of this is whether Tony Petitti intends to do the right thing or not, whether it's the playoff expansion, whether it's private equity in the sport, whether it's now him telling the NCAA and sending a letter to them saying to stop going after tampering. All of these college commissioners keep talking about wanting to have guardrails, and yet they keep talking about having guardrails over here. But on the right side of things, they continue to do things and say things, and their actions keep saying that they don't want things to change. Guys, I think that we are in a bad place with a lot of this. I mean, I hope and pray for college athletics, which is something that I cover from a national level and a local level, that we get some guardrails here because God's honest truth, we need them. But having a commissioner for one of, if not the biggest conference in all of college athletics, running out there and telling the NCAA to stop going after teams from tampering, guys, this has got to be the dumbest thing ever. It simply has got to be the dumbest thing ever. I worry about our sport, man. I worry about something that you and I have quite honestly spent our entire lives cherishing, our entire lives rooting for. Guys, you're in this show right now to listen about LSU baseball. We'll talk about LSU basketball. We'll talk about LSU baseball tonight. You're here for that. Because our sport is being molded in the wrong direction by TV executives who have no idea how to run college athletics. I keep seeing a lot of my colleagues around college. I see a lot of my colleagues talking about the NCAA stinks and the NCAA needs to be abolished and all of these different things. But yet on the other side of their mouth, they'll talk about we need guardrails. You are hypocritical. Then you have a commissioner coming out here and saying, yeah, tampering, yeah, get rid of it. Amend it. Because it's the agents that are doing all of this. It's nobody else. And your point, there's already rules in place for third parties not being able to do some of the things that you're trying to abolish. You prove how dumb you are. Guys, we're in a bad spot. You know, I think about some of the things that have happened over the last couple of months. Trinidad Chambliss. No one wanted to back the NCAA. Wouldn't let the Ferris State old coaching staff talk in front of a judge. Look what happened. You have all of these different situations happening, and you want to abolish the NCAA, yet on the other side of your mouth, you keep talking about, we need guardrails. Do you know how dumb you sound? I'm sorry, man, but this is getting to a place and getting to a spot of no return. We might already be there. If I'm a fan of any team in the Big Ten, if I'm an AD in the Big Ten, if I'm a president of the Big Ten, I'm looking ways to get off the ship of Tony Batiti. Cat's out the bag now, man. I warned you. Guys, for 3 weeks, you and I have been talking about the NCAA. We have been talking about governance in sports. Guys, if you didn't have governance in our own world and it was just the true wild, wild west, how do you think the world would be? The world's crazy enough as it is, and we do have guardrails in place. College athletics, you don't have any. I saw the College Sports Commission say that they approved over the last calendar year $166 million. I thought that number would be much more, much higher. All of this shit that everybody keeps spewing is just, most of it's not true. What is the Big Ten hiding? That is the real question. All right. As we're coming out of Flugate here, we have a lot that we need to discuss. LSU fell to Kentucky today. What is the future for LSU men's basketball? We will talk about that. SEC play starts for LSU. Tomorrow we'll do a deep dive on Vanderbilt and preview the series. But tonight, as SEC play starts, we will talk about that. LSU football starting to separate in one other area. We'll talk about that as well. And at the end of the show, hashtag Ask Blake, thoughts, questions, and concerns. Where is everybody watching from tonight? Are you in the 985, the 225, the 504, the 318-31 great, or are you in the 337, or are you somewhere else? Let us know in the chat tonight. Where are you listening from right now? I'm going to leave that alone. Regardless, every NYS Sports Show is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Download the FT Sportsbook app today. Use your mobile device. In doing so, I highly suggest that you set your preferences like I do. Set them there. Please gamble responsibly. Reason we partner with FanDuel is because they are big on everybody gambling responsibly. Set your preferences. Let's go have some fun. We're glad to be powered and partnered by our good friends over at FanDuel. Ricky is in the 337 New Iberia stand-up. Farmer Girl is in the 337 as well. Good to have you in here with us. Keith is in the 985. Good to have you. Jared Vidrine is at my house. You ain't here. I know he's saying his house, but I know you're not there. L.A. Dave is in the 985. Good to have you in here with us. Ben is in the 321 Florida stand-up. Good to have you all in here with us as well. And Adrian is in Funky Town, Fort Worth, but by the way of the 504. Good to have you all in here with us tonight. Glad that you're able to join us. All right, we got a lot that we need to talk about. Will Wade or Matt McMahon? What is the future for LSU basketball? We will talk about that. SEC play starts for LSU baseball. We'll talk on that. And LSU football separating in another area. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about LSU men's basketball next. Stay with us.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man. He's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler. He'll shoot you straight.
Hey, guys, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Red Stick Financial. They're your local residential mortgage broker located right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Red Stick Financial, they find the bank that works for your particular set of needs to purchase the home of your dreams or refinance the current one. They truly are your partners in this process, and they pride themselves in helping individuals and families with one simple goal in mind, and that is to make home financing approachable, attainable, and stress-free. They are licensed in all Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So from Amarillo to Meridian and everything in between, they have you covered. Red Stick Financial brings you creative, customized solutions, and they don't believe in the one-size-fits-all when it comes to loans. They even have special options for mobile and manufactured homes located in a flood zone and stated income financing for those of us who are self-employed borrowers. If you or someone you know is looking to buy a home, refinance an existing mortgage, or simply want to know what options are out there for your future, give Red Stick Financial a call today at 225-407-9250. That's 225-407-9250. Or check them out online at redstickfinancial.com. That's redstickfinancial.com. Before you purchase the home of your dreams or you go and do that refinance, you need to go local. Go Red Stick. Where's my pencil? I didn't get up from anywhere. Where's my pencil? Can't find my baseball pencil. I have no idea where my baseball pencil is. Did I have a baseball pencil? I don't know if I did or didn't. I thought I just had my baseball pencil here with me. I guess I did not. All right. Let's get to it here. So, I'm not going to bore you with breaking the game down. LSU went up against Kentucky today and lost in the SEC tournament. LSU was the 16 seed. They were dead last in the SEC. And over the last couple of seasons, we know that what has been happening with Matt McMahon and LSU basketball. I'm just going to run through this very quickly so we all know. In year one, I've made a lot of bones about this, but year one, Matt McMahon went 14-19 at LSU. I don't really blame him there. I think there was a lot going on. I'm not going there with that because you were under sanctions. You had no players. You had scholarship reductions. The first year of Matt McMahon was always going to be really bad. Year two, you kind of turned it around a little bit. You went 17-16. You went 9-9 in the conference, and you were tied for 7th in the SEC. But the last two seasons, Matt McMahon went 14-18, and this year went 15-17. He's got an overall record at LSU of 60-70. He's 77-56 inside of the SEC. The bottom line truth is that we all know that now the moment is time is coming. Now, we have multiple videos up on our YouTube channel of myself talking about Will Wade. There have been a lot of conversations over the last couple of weeks, good, bad, or indifferent, about what LSU plans to do here. Are they going to move on from Matt McMahon after paying out Brian Kelly and having to spend all that money for Brian Kelly, and then bringing in Lane Kiffin and spending all the money that you are doing in NIL and all the money that you're spending with football? Do you have enough money to now fire Matt McMahon and go and get Will Wade? That is really the question that everyone's been asking. Now, if you've been following myself and we had these discussions over the last 3 weeks, I hope that you already know where I stand, the things I'm hearing and the things that LSU has done. Over the last month, LSU has a new board of supervisor. They have utilized that position to bring in someone that is very familiar with Will Wade and that has a very strong connection with him. You have multiple articles that have been written and that have been discussed about the governor, okay? Jeff Landry having discussions with the former athletic director of LSU and Scott Woodward about them having, and to quote, knockdown dragouts about bringing Will Wade back as LSU's men's basketball coach. Then you hire Will Wade's former president from McNeese and Wade Roos. Basically, the last time that you and I discussed about LSU men's basketball was about Matt McMahon and Will Wade. In the conversation 2 weeks ago, that video is on our YouTube channel, we discussed that basically this is coming down to, are you going to hold on to Matt McMahon in reference to the money and you not wanting to spend it, or is LSU going to spend that money and go get Will Wade? Told you that 2 weeks ago. Now it's kind of going in that simple direction. We pretty much painted the picture for you 2 weeks ago about what was going to go down. And right now, you're at the preface of what potentially LSU is going to do. I told you then, and I will tell you now. I do believe from all of the discussions that I've had over the last 24 hours, I'm not 1,000% sold that LSU knows what they're going to do. I think that if you told people around LSU that Will Wade would come back to LSU, no one's going to say no. I don't think the governor would say no. I don't think Wade Roos would say no. I really don't know if Verge would say no. I don't know if it's all in his interest to say no. And I don't think that the board of supervisors, especially now the chairman of the board of supervisors, he surely would not tell you no. So what is the future of men's basketball? It is a revenue-generating sport. And regardless of what you think about it, you have got to be somewhat moderately productive in that sport. You can't keep going, as we stated earlier, with Matt McMahon being 60 and 70 in the SEC. Now, there are a lot of things that I could say about Matt McMahon. Number one, Scott Woodward did not help him. Number two, I don't think Matt McMahon reached the people that he needed to reach to be able to take this job and do the things necessary that he needed to do in an NIL world, in an NIL era. I understand that Matt McMahon has come out. I listen to every Matt McMahon press conference. I listen to every head coach's press conferences, and I haven't missed one. Just because you and I don't talk about it doesn't mean I miss a press conference from Matt McMahon. Matt McMahon, and I'm paraphrasing here, said he would love to stay at LSU. They had injuries. I know that big-time boosters have come out and said, we want to stick with Matt McMahon. He's had big-time injuries. I get all of that. I like Matt McMahon as a person. But I think that there are things that are going on behind the scenes. Actually, I don't think. There are things going on behind the scenes that will be out of boosters' controls. It will be out of some administrators' control. And quite honestly, it will be coming down to people who really have the stroke and power to do this. The question is what is Will Wade going to do? Are you going to spend the money to get Matt McMahon out? Are you going to spend the money to bring Will Wade in? Are you going to have a reunion with him? I do think it would invigorate the fan base. But that's not really the money. So everybody's been talking about the money just to make the move happen. I don't really think that that's the money, at least the conversations that I have. I don't think that's really the money that we should be talking about. The money that we should be talking about is how much money are you going to give Will Wade to build a really good roster? How much money are you going to give Will Wade to be successful in men's basketball? He knows the lay of the land. He knows everybody and all the players. We know that he can raise money. We know that he can have success here. The question is what is LSU going to do? As I told you 3 weeks ago, as I'll tell you again today, there are boosters that have had, even despite some reports, listen, I was on an island with this, by the way. I had people pushing back on me on this, and now all of a sudden, 3 weeks ago when we talked about this, now all of a sudden there's an appetite for Will Wade. There always was. If you're talking to the right people, there was always an appetite. You don't make some of the moves that you made. Wade Roos, moving an LSU chairman of the board, you don't make those moves if you're not trying to prepare to go and get the man. I've told you once, I've told you twice, I've told you 1,000 times. If it looks like a duck, it waddles like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's not Leonardo or Michelangelo, this ain't the Ninja Turtles, right? Like this is, like, guys, the writing is on the wall of what they want to do. Now, are you going to make the move? Guys, and I tell you, I know that there are people that are saying that, you know, whatever you want to say, there are discussions behind the scenes. As I said last week, as I said the week before, and the week before that, there will be conversations with Will Wade, even if Matt McMahon is retained. I would put every single penny that I will ever make in my entire life on that. I think those conversations have already been had. I think that those conversations have easily been had. And I think that LSU wants to be competitive in men's basketball. The question is, are they going to make the move necessary to get Matt McMahon out and bring Will Wade back? Because everybody wants to talk about the $15, $16, $17 million it will take to get all of that done. That's not the money that I would be worried about, because $20 million to an institution, quite frankly, is not a lot of money when you're losing and you don't have the fan base and nobody's in the seats. You're losing money anyway. What could happen if you were able to fill those seats and be competitive even slightly? I'm not expecting Will Wade, or anybody for that matter, to be at LSU and win a national title in men's basketball. I'm just not. But as we have talked about this over the last 3 weeks, I have said it once, I have said it again. Moves have been made. I don't know as of right now. For all I know, it's not going to happen. For all I know, LSU makes a move within 24 hours. I don't know that that's going to be the case. I have not heard, as we have been live right now, that will be the case. And I don't know if LSU will make a move without Will Wade. Question's going to come down to, are you prepared to make the move? And guys, I simply just don't know. I think that there has been, if you're asking me my God's honest opinion, I do believe that there's been a lot of internal infighting around LSU people that have power to make a move like this. A lot. I think that there's been infighting about money going to other sports. I think there's been infighting in reference to Jay Johnson needing more money. I think that there's all kinds of chaos behind the scenes that we're not privileged to. Do you want to be competitive in men's basketball or not? Now, you remember that LSU was supposed to build a new arena, and LSU men's and women's basketball was supposed to play there, and PMAC was going to be no more. Funny how that's not being brought up anymore. I do think that William Tate tried to make and wanted to make LSU men's basketball the front porch of this place. I really do. I don't have any proof of that. I am speculating. That is an opinion. And I think Scott Woodward went along with the ride. When Will Wade left, you were in a very desperate spot. In reference to Matt McMahon, I do feel for him. There are things that we've talked about with Brian Kelly where they just did not give him the assistance. Some of that is on Matt McMahon for not trying to go out there and raise the money possible. In this past season, you raised money possible, you had injuries, and guys, you were dead last in the SEC. You sucked. You quite honestly sucked. Hear me on this though. I love that the team constantly battled for him. I think this season shows that what all of those young men thought about Matt McMahon. They always gave all that they had. They just weren't talented enough. They busted their ass. And I think that there's a lot to be said in reference to when you see the level of effort that LSU basketball, men's basketball played with, when they're having struggles, what they think of Matt. But the bottom line truth is, man, is that people want the general back. And I'm not talking about Shaq, and I'm not talking about the insurance. They want the general back. Do I think that Will Wade could have handled some of the things at the end of his time better than what he did? Without a shadow of a doubt. You left LSU, and specifically LSU football, very vulnerable from an attack for the NCAA. And I get that, I get that there are people in the media that have strong connections, very strong connections with Will Wade. They have a friendship with him. Their loyalty was to him. It wasn't to LSU. Guys, in the NCAA's report, it was the NCAA's investigation and their determination. They wrote this. This is not on me. I didn't put this in the NCAA findings. They did. That when they were investigating Will Wade, that they caught stuff with LSU men or LSU football. The whole Tristan Lee thing, because they were on campus doing investigations, and lo and behold, they found something. That is how it went down. That is what they've stated. That's not on me. That's not on me talking about Will Wade and saying, oh, Blake hates Will Wade. Because the biggest lie in all of it, which I told you all the way back then, which I will tell you now, I don't dislike Will Wade at all. Could you have done things better at the end of it? Without a doubt. I think that he would have done things differently. At least I hope that he would have. Scott Woodward clearly didn't want him. And that is very apparent. You didn't fight for him either. Guys, it's going to come down to one of two things. Like we've been talking about over the last 3 weeks. Are you going after are you going to keep Matt McMahon, or are you going after Will Wade? That is it. I have been preparing you for this for 3 weeks, and now it's the time. Now it's the time that we will see what moves are being made. We don't talk about men's basketball in this program, and I've given you reasons as to why. I'm not going to alter show times when LSU refuses to literally put their own money where their mouth is and trying to win. They haven't done that. So you want me to invest in something when you wouldn't even do it. If you ask me my God's honest opinion on what I think is going to happen, this is not sourcing. This is just strictly opinion. There are a lot of parts of me where I'm torn. A lot of parts of me that I'm like, oh boy, I don't know. I don't know. Because when I do my job, let me tell you how it's been going for me. I have half the people telling me X. I have half the people telling me Y. We want to make a move. We don't want to make a move. I don't know. Normally in situations like this, the biggest stick will win. And even if the big stick wins and you want to move away from Matt McMahon, even if that is the case, can you convince Will Wade to come back? There are a lot of moving hurdles. There are going to be a lot of promises. If and when. Let me not say and when. If or when the day comes that you have fired Matt McMahon and you're bringing in Will Wade, there's only one thing that you need to know for 1,000% certainty. They promised Will Wade a specific amount of money in NIL. That is just God's honest truth. Can LSU come up with it? Guys, you are historically speaking, as I look in here at all of the 8 in the studio, of all of the 8 baseball national titles. On this side, when I look at all 3 of your current, I say current, but last 2 decades worth of national titles in football, you are a baseball school and a football school. And I think that there are people, right, wrong, or indifferent, that sit on the fence and want to see these 2 sports really take off and continue to have success. There are people that want to spend the money for men's basketball as well. Let them do it. You don't have to do it yourself. If there are boosters and people out there that want to spend the money and give money to fire Matt McMahon and go get Will Wade, let them do it. Bring the general home if that's what you believe, and that's the commitment that you're going to get. Do it. There's too much infighting for anybody to say that they have confidence. If anybody comes out within the next 12 hours, unless things really start heating up, which they could, and say, I know that X, Y, or Z is going to happen, they're lying. They're lying. And they're guessing. They may guess right. They may guess wrong. There's a 50-50 chance on both sides of this. So I've been receiving a lot of DMs. I see Hal Jubin is in here as well. I've been receiving a lot of questions about what's going to happen with men's basketball. Guys, I'm sorry, I don't know. If you followed us during the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes, if you followed us during any situation that's been happening, you know that if I were getting real stuff, and I'm sure that we will as this process continues to go on, that we would discuss it, because we would. I'm just at a place right now where I'm not comfortable saying that I'm hearing X, I'm hearing Y, I'm hearing Z, because there's a lot of infighting. Do I think that you should bring the general back if given the right resources? Without a shadow of a doubt. But you're going to have to get the money commitment up front, because I think that the pushback, I don't think that there's anybody out there that says, no, I don't want to bring Will Wade back. I think the problem is the money aspect, in the sense of it's not about the money to fire and hire everybody. It's the money that you got to come up with them with NIL. Nobody wants to talk about that, but that is just the truth. Guys, with that, I don't know. What I do know is Brandon, did you just see that? Boy, you never know who's watching. Oh, good Lord. I appreciate everybody that watches the show. Hit the like and share. I don't know. We're going to see. We're going to see. All right. Oh God. I see some super chats in here. Lucas Abear, let's get to some before we get to a break. Lucas Abear with a $2 super chat says LSU bats need to wake up in SEC play. I completely agree, and we'll talk about that next. Keno became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. We put out some new members-only content today. So in case you missed it on Twitter, we're going to talk about this in a little bit later, but Jaden Breaker, Aiden Andine, Haven Finney, and Deshaun Spears we're putting in some extra work before spring. We posted some of that. Jaden Breaker is going to be an interesting case. Inside and outside backer. It's going to be very interesting to see what how they utilize Jaden Breaker this year. Very interesting. So we put some members only content out there about where I talked to a lot of people over the last 2 weeks. Brandon and I kind of did like a straw poll about players that everybody keeps talking about from a sourcing perspective from our end. And we talked about that on the members only content. So you can become a member if you would like to as well. Shaquan with a $2 super chat says, forget Stephen Willis. And that's the nice F word. Look, man. I saw Preston Guy of Tiger Bait going after him and Stephen Willis. And guys, they're still arguing about it. Like, we're 90 plus days after this, and we're still arguing about it. I don't watch Steven's show. I don't watch Mississippi content. But if I'm scrolling social media, I see when people bring on Tim Brando. I see that constantly Lane Kiffin's being brought up. Like, I constantly see it. I don't have a problem with Willis. I understand what he's doing. He's trying to protect Ole Miss. He loves Ole Miss, whatever. But, man, you bring it up way too often. Guys, they're a scorned lover. Now, before the whole Tony Batiti thing, that's what I was going to come in here and talk about was Ole Miss, because of course I was. I don't get it. Like, I do get it and I don't get it. Move on. Like, it just every single week. What do you think about Lane Kiffin going to LSU? Guys, we're 90 plus days out of it. We're in spring football. Ole Miss is going into spring football. Why don't you talk about spring football? You have a baseball team. Talk about your baseball team. Your women's basketball coach who went after Lane Kiffin is talking to Florida to become their new women's basketball coach. Why don't you talk about that? No, they want to talk about Lane, even though they were defending their women's basketball coach. She's going to leave you too. You know what the biggest thing, the funniest thing in all of this is that she's talking with Florida about being their next women's basketball coach. Meanwhile, she was going after Lane saying, oh, you left. Girl, you talking to other teams too. You don't want to be there either. So wild to me. You know, the longer I live, the more hypocritical I see how people are. You can only trust people in your inner circle or people that you know that will come out here and tell you the truth. Like us. All right, let me get to a quick break. We'll come back and talk about SEC play. We'll come back and talk a little bit about LSU football. Stay with us. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotion. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top. When your business, your farm, or your equipment needs fuel, you need someone that you can trust. At Crump Fuel, they deliver quality gasoline, diesel, and lubricants with honest service and local pride across South Louisiana and South Mississippi. From construction sites, marinas, convenience stores, and trucking companies, all the way down to generators and everyday operations, Crump Fuel keeps you rolling. Crump Fuel is family-owned and family-operated. With high quality and dependable delivery, they're always going to bring that competitive pricing. Call Crump Fuel today at 985-229-4976 or visit them over at crumpfuel.com. That's 985-229-4976, or visit them at crumpfuel.com today. Crump Fuel, where they're fueling the Gulf South in the right way. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. We're back. I got to tell y'all something. So I was supposed to be coaching, and I'm still going to, at least I think I am. My son's T-ball team. They're making Ben play T-ball again. Good luck. I know people say this about good luck. Say they got their kids, good luck. We got the draft on Sunday. We're coming. We're coming. We ain't backing down. Like my name's Ed Orgeron. All right. Let's get into some SEC play stuff here. So look, we will do a very big deep dive on LSU versus Vanderbilt tomorrow. We'll do a complete deep dive. We'll do all this stuff going into next week. We're going to try to get these deep dives of teams and opponents up on Wednesday. We're going to talk about them tomorrow a little bit more in depth. But we're going to be doing deep dives on teams and opponents in SEC that we talk about. We did it all last year. We'll continue to do that. Tomorrow we'll break down and talk about the University of Vanderbilt and talk about the series. But SEC play starts. And there are a lot of concerns from a lot of you, even with the win last night, of are you going to be able to hit? What are you going to look like in the field? I think it's a big deal that Chris Stanfield is back. Jay Johnson and all of these guys shared stories about, Chris Stanfield really pushing to go back and play, and it was great to see him again last night. We talked about that last night in the postgame. But you're going up against an opponent in Vanderbilt who has completely revamped themselves at the plate. They have two guys, one in Holcomb and one in Johnstone, that one has 10 home runs and the other has 7. They have been hitting the ball very hard and very far. They have 19 extra base hits on the season, and they've been tearing the cover off of the baseball. Now, against some of the better opponents that they faced, they've really struggled. Arizona and others. In the last couple of weeks for them, although they've won, they've also been struggling. Because you're about to enter into SEC play against some of the top competition in the country. Everybody wants to point to the SEC's being down. How do you know that? Because of some early season games? Again, I'm old enough to remember when Florida damn near lost every midweek game that they had, and then you look up in the middle of May and you look up in June and they're in Omaha. And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. There are a lot of really good baseball teams in the SEC. Texas has been really good. I still think that Texas, something feels a little off to me with them. I still think that they've been a little chaotic in the field, but Schlossnagel's a really good coach. Vanderbilt is a really good team. You face off against them this upcoming week. You've got to face off against Oklahoma, who's been really stellar. The most athletic team, doesn't translate, but always, the most athletic team in the SEC is Oklahoma. You have Georgia, who's looked really good. You have Florida, who's looked really good. You're going up against you're going up against Texas A&M. You're going up against a lot of very talented teams. You got to take this, as we say every single year, you got to take this one weekend and one weekend only. Guys, the God's honest truth is, by the way, you got Ole Miss, who's looked really good, even though they got walked off by Southern Miss last night. You got Mississippi State. Guys, you're going through a gauntlet. And I think what's a little bit scary for people is the last 2 weeks, the way that you've looked like, and then the games and the teams that you got to go up against. Guys, you got Mississippi State. You got to go up against Vandy this weekend, who's really been hitting the cover off the baseball. You got to go up against Ole Miss, who's got a lot of power. You got to go up against Florida. You got to go against A&M. You got to go up against Oklahoma. The only team that you don't have to go about that we've talked about has been Texas. You got Georgia, who's been hitting the cover off the ball. You are going through a gauntlet. And the God's honest truth is, man, you got to take this one game at a time. Now, Jay Johnson met with the media today, and he had a lot of things to say. Look, for the purpose of not repeating myself, in the purpose of not repeating everything that we've talked about over the last 2 weeks, you know what Jay Johnson's conversation with the media today was like. Got to be better at the plate. Got to be better in the field. Got to be better on the mound. Of course they do. Of course they do. Last night, you needed a true freshman with the bases loaded to hit a grand slam for you to beat Creighton, who's a 5-8 baseball team. I mean, yes, that is baseball. Yes, you've been hitting the ball very hard, right at people. But now is when the true tests start. Guys, you're going to find out now, especially after the last 2 weeks, you're really going to find out what this team is built of. You know, we can talk about slumps. We can talk about this. We can talk about that. We can talk about runners left on base. We can talk about the approach of the plate. We can talk about the guys in the field. That's all fine and dandy. They have not lived up right now to the beginning part of the season. LSU has not lived up to their standard. You know that. I know that. Your grandmammy knows that. Your grandpappy who's sitting in the corner eating boudin knows that. Everybody knows that. There are a lot of really good teams. The truth of the matter is that you got to take this one game and one series at the time. Vandy is a really good opponent. It is the best team by far that you've played. You are also the best opponent that Vanderbilt has played. And I'm still holding out. For me, guys, you have so much talent. You still have position battles that you're going through. What are you ultimately going to do in left? And Stanley comes back and he's fully healthy. What are you going to do behind the plate? What are you going to do with the DH role? What are you going to do at second base? There are so many different things that we have to discuss, and we'll find out throughout the season. You're still very talented. I think we look at the struggles over the last 2 weeks for LSU baseball and say, oh, man, this team's no good. I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe with all of the talent that you have that you're just not a good baseball team. I refuse to believe it. Not playing like it, though. You're just not playing like it. This weekend will tell a lot. It will tell a lot. It will tell, hey, man, can you go and take 2 of 3 from Vandy? And even if you lose the series, can you take 1? Because they're a really good team and a really good opponent. And going on the road in the SEC is difficult. It is tough. But for the morale and confidence of this team, you need to find a way to win the series. I talked about Jay Johnson earlier. I talked about some of the things that Jay Johnson mentioned. I talked about all of the small little intricate details that he brought up. The biggest thing that Jay brought up today is so simple and right in front of our face. When Jay Johnson said that last night's game gave them confidence, tells me everything I need to know. This team, he is confirming that this team has been pressing, that this team has had a lack of confidence about trusting in their ability to do what needs to be done. Got to go find it. You got to go find it because You have Vandy that's really good. They can find themselves in Omaha. Oklahoma is talented enough to find themselves in Omaha. Georgia is talented enough to find themselves in Omaha. Florida is talented enough to find themselves in Omaha. Texas A&M is talented enough to find themselves in Omaha. Mississippi State is talented enough to find themselves in Omaha. Do you want me to continue? Do you want me to continue? You are going through a gauntlet. It is time to, non-pun intended, this isn't baseball. It's time to put the helmet on, buckle up, and get serious. Find your confidence. This team's got to find that killer instinct. They are too freaking talented to be playing the way that they have been. Guys, y'all, deep down, a lot of you go to social media and you say this or you say that about LSU baseball. Some of you don't even believe it. You don't. You know that this team is talented. You know that this LSU baseball team has got a lot of talent. Now, I have been saying, even through the struggles, I'm not panicking. I'm not doing that, even though my words have been misconstrued over and over again for whatever reason. You're way too talented. This is the best opponent that you faced. It's the best opponent that you faced. How are you going to react to the adversity of going on the road with the whistling? How are you going to face that level of adversity? When something doesn't go your way, how do you react to it? Got a lot of tough teams, man. I didn't even bring up Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss has the power that can lead them to Omaha. They do. See, though. We'll see. All right. Before we get out of here, I think we got some more Super Chats. Brandon, do we have more Super Chats? No? Okay. I want to say this. I highly suggest everybody to become a member on the YouTube channel. That's number one. We have some really good content about football that's on there. I think that everybody needs to buckle up for this spring. We are 11 days away from LSU football officially opening up spring practice. I think you all need to buckle up. There are going to be storylines on top of storylines on top of storylines that is going to be coming out of spring camp with Lane Kiffin in year one. There are going to be players that are in unique positions. There are going to be players along the offensive line, and they mix and match and do a lot of different things. There are going to be a lot of receivers that are mix and matching and be like, man, this guy looked good this day. Man, they used this guy this way. Man, they used Trey-Dez this way. Guys, Lane Kiffin has a plan for this team. Well, Blake, I didn't think he had a plan. No shit, he's got a plan. The storylines that will start coming in 11 days will be astronomical. I think this team's really talented. I think some of the things defensively, and along with some of the freshmen that they brought in, I think this team's got a lot of talent. I think the storylines are going to be talking about, obviously, what you're doing at quarterback and at receiver and all of the different mix and matches that you're doing along the offensive line. I think that there's going to be some freshmen that are coming up and coming out and standing out and from across the pack that we're like, holy shizite. You know, Brandon and I, producer Brandon and I, talked to a lot of people over the last couple of weeks. You know, we had I'll just put it like this, Brandon. We had a really good friend of the show who is very well connected to LSU football, especially on one side of the football, sit down and talk to us about what he believed defensively. And what is interesting to me is the players that he talked about, and it's all in the YouTube members-only content stuff. I think that there's guys like Todd Benefield. I think there's guys like Deuce Geralds. I think that there's guys like P.J. Woodland and D.J. Pickett. I think there's guys like Fahim Delane and T.J. Dottery that you're going to be like, hey, bro, what did you just say? You need to be prepared for it. I think that there's a lot of people around the program that believe that they have the ability to be a very talented team. And if they can come together, do something special. All right. The SEC has so many blue blood type programs. Don't disagree with that. Don't disagree with that at all. Got a lot of great teams in the SEC this year. Everybody's saying the SEC's down. I mean, UCLA probably is the best team in the country right now, though. But the SEC's loaded, man, because of course they are. Of course they are. All right, we're out of here. We'll see y'all tomorrow. You have a great night. Peace out, Girl Scouts.